Hello YouTube, it's Lion here with Hobbies of a Man once again, and today we are doing another Kaiju number 8 chapter review. Today we are reviewing chapter 40, and of course we're going to have a news section, a recap, then the review, and sadly we don't have any theories today, but that is what it is, so let's just jump into it. First, the news section. So, we don't have any news per se, like nothing really concrete, but I did want to talk about a few things that I think I've missed. The first thing is, obviously, the schedule has changed. It's every 2 weeks now, which basically means 2 to 3 times a month, depending on how the month divides itself across 4 weeks, or longer, depending, because most months don't actually take 4 weeks. They take a little bit longer than that. But, yeah, so I think this month specifically, we're only going to have 2 weeks. Next week is off anyways, or this Sunday is off anyways for Shonen Jump, like the weekly one, the Shonen magazine. So I assume that we're not going to have anything else by the end of July. So, yeah. Now, the other thing I did want to talk about is that a while ago, actually, Viz showed us the English editions. And sadly, it's going to be a regular tankobon size, like the ones you guys can see right there, the Tokyo Pop trim, which is slightly bigger than like unusual a B6 piece of paper or something like that. I'm not exactly sure the size is. It's like 7 by 5 or something like that, 7.5 by 5 inches. And it's okay. I mean, it's fine. I would have personally liked it if we got a Viz signature edition of that, because it's like not really like it's a shonen, but it's a shonen that is not on the weekly Shonen Jump app, so, or magazine. So I would have really liked it if they like bumped it up to a seinen treatment and got it a sig, but apparently it's not the case. The other thing I did want to talk about the Viz edition is that it has this really odd chalk looking style to the font that I really don't like, because it makes it look like it's about a school or something. I don't know, like the font and the texture that they gave the font feels very like classroom-y, when the series is very sci-fi military kind of situation. So I don't really understand why they chose that font. It kind of sucks, but I mean, whatever. It doesn't really end up mattering that much. Hopefully they at least maintain the different colors for each volume, because that would be really nice, but who knows. I assume that we're going to start getting release information for volume 2 and 3 relatively soon, but first volume doesn't come out until the 7th of December, thereabouts, so still a long way away. And yeah, that's it for the news section. Let's get into the recap. Obviously, you guys can watch the full review of chapter 39 up there, or up there, wherever the stupid card is, if you want to, and then come back, but I am going to recap it very briefly here, so let's get into it. The previous chapter was basically Kikoru's chapter, and I was right. It is kind of signifying the change in the arc. However, I was wrong about when it was happening. But yeah. So Kikoru's chapter essentially is about her learning from Mina Ashiro, with an R, not with a D, that Kafka has been saved. His disposal has been halted for now, and he's okay. And then she goes meets Gen Narumi, or Namuri. I can't remember which order his name is in. I think it's Narumi, who is the leader of the 1st division. He's the strongest captain in the strongest division. He's basically the baddest badass in all of the badass land. And he's pretty cool. I mean, well, my opinion on him has changed because of this chapter, but generally he is pretty interesting and he's pretty cool, and he shows Kikoru the vast difference in power between her and him, and he doesn't even unleash his combat potential, so he's just like naturally super badass. We do get to see his little weird kaiju eyes, and yeah, and basically Kikoru meets him, and she decides she doesn't have any respect for him because he's essentially this kind of like filthy otaku neat kind of character. But when he shows up and destroys the fucking kaiju with like a single stab, she's like, okay, he's kind of good. I will appreciate learning from him, and that's basically what it is. And that's the recap. Again, full chapter review from last time. If you guys want to watch it, it's up there. Or you can wait till the end of the review, to the end of the review and click on the playlist and just watch the whole thing if you want to. But yeah, so chapter 40, the review discussion section now. It basically starts right at the end of chapter 39. Kikoru and Gen are talking. And Gen is kind of going crazy over the news that are reporting on what happened because he doesn't really like that Mina gets all the credit because they write it in a way that sounds like she was the one that took it down when obviously it wasn't. Gen was the one that took it down, and he took it down really easily. So for the memes and for the laughs and stuff, a comedy kind of bit here is him kind of caring, and we get see this whole kind of like interaction with him and his phone where he's basically on Twitter and people are like making fun of him and like saying mean things, and he doesn't like it, and he's like, God damn it, I'm the best. Why are you guys so mean to me and stuff like that? And I thought it was pretty funny. Kikoru obviously is deadpanning, and she's just like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? And yeah, then eventually we get around to finishing that little bit of comedy there, and Kikoru asks him if he's going to pick up the message / call that has been going on for the last little bit. And he's like, no, why would I do that? They're just going to call me in, and Mr. Mr. Shinomiya, Kikoru's dad, is just going to yell at him and tell him, stuff that he finds boring. So why the hell would he do that? Which leads to another little bit of comedy where like the vice captain of Division 1 comes in, kicks him in the back and sends him flying, and then grabs him by the neck and basically, ragdolls him and kind of tells him, hey man, you got to do this because it's your job, you dumbass, and stuff like that. And he kind of gets harassed about it, and he's like, yeah, why would I show up anyways? And then the vice captain's like, because it's about Kaiju number 8. And then Kikoru has a surprise Pikachu face, and then he's like, okay, I'll go. And then we shift the perspective of the series over to Kafka. And Kafka is, doing push-ups in a very military kind of practical way. But he's locked in his cage, and he's just like doing push-ups because there's nothing better to do. Very kind of like General Iroh in Avatar kind of way. And he's thinking, he's kind of remembering stuff, and he's like, how am I going to prove that I'm useful? And he was remembering the conversation he has with Mr. Shinomiya and stuff like that. And yeah, then, the doors open. A big platoon of JDF members is there. And they show up and they're like, Kaiju number 8, we need you to come with us. And he goes with them, obviously. And then Kafka is going to be placed in Division 1. We see Kafka in a room with Kikoru and Gen, and then with Mr. Shinomiya or Mr. Isao. And Mr. Isao, or Mr. Shinomiya, tells Kafka, I'm going to put you in Division 1 due to the need to overcome all of these crazy disasters and kaijus that have been cropping up in the last little bit, right? He goes into this deeper explanation about how, there has been an unprecedented amount of stuff happening that they really can't control and that they really don't have the manpower to fix. And so they need him to help them, right? And then Kafka is about to say yes, but he gets interrupted by Gen, who kind of just stops him. He's like, no, we don't need him. I'm enough. I'm strong enough to deal with all of this stuff. And then Mr. Isao, Mr. Shinomiya, launches into this kind of situation / lecture about how hubris of this type is bad and how this is exactly why they need Kafka, because now that they're getting into this holding pattern of assuming that they're okay and that, Mr. Gen Narumi is strong enough, it's exactly when things will go bad. And he cites evidence that Kaiju number 9 and Kaiju number 10 are crazy powerful and very different from anything they have dealt with before, and that the JDF has to evolve in order to combat the evolution of these kaiju. And so Kafka is important to this situation. Makes a lot of sense. Honestly, I really appreciate that he's a very logical character. This is very good. Usually shonen isn't very good about this type of stuff. It's like very emotion driven. So I really enjoy these little bits of good logical situations. Of course, this is because this is a military series more so than a fantasy one. So feelings aren't really going to be that helpful. But I really appreciate it anyways. And yeah, Gen says that Kaiju number 8 will have to be more useful. Or not actually, sorry. Gen says that he still doesn't care. Kaiju number 8 would be way more useful if they turned him into a weapon. I was gonna say wieldable weapon, but no, a weapon for Gen. In a very kind of like shitty way. Like he's just coming off like a real douchebag, which is kind of odd because he doesn't really come off that way any other time. So maybe he hates Kaiju for some reason. Kind of understandable, I guess. And Kafka shows his resolve again. He's like, "Sir, I will do what I have to do, but I cannot become a weapon for you just yet because I have things that I need to do, like fulfill his promise to my girl Mina and help Kikoru and help what's his name, Reno and stuff." So yeah, but of course we know that Gen doesn't really care about this type of stuff. He's like, "No, just show me results," and he dips away. He like leaves, and Kafka's left, still saluting. He's like, "Thank you, sir," in a very kind of like military like deference, I guess. And that's basically the end of the arc. And chapter 5 or episode 5 or whatever is going to be called the Kaiju Weapon, which I assume is going to be Kafka going on a lot of missions in a very kind of montage style. Very similar to how we see Captain America go on missions in a montage style in Captain America First Avenger after he, leads the Howling Commandos and stuff like that. I assume we're going to have something like that where we just get to see Kafka, kind of go through a bunch of missions quickly and try to show his kind of like growth. But I'm not really sure. I don't necessarily know where we are. Like, I know that 40 chapters isn't very many, but I feel like it's starting to get to that point where like interest is going to dip a little bit if we don't get like new, bigger things and the arcs start getting longer. So I don't know. I'm kind of worried for the series a little bit, but I think that it's being handled pretty well. The mangaka is very good at their job, so hopefully everything ends up well. So yeah, I don't really have any theories, so that's basically it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and see you guys later.